So last night I cooked scallops. Have you ever cooked scallops? They're really stinky.
It's like a fish, right?
It's like
a
yeah.
shell.
Dude, it has saturated our entire house, like
Yeah.
upstairs, downstairs.
Smelled like a fisherman's
Did you
wharf.
run the fan when you cooked?
No. But I did after.
This is a very
It's
good
too
lesson.
little, too late. This is Lee Hargrave, certified strength and conditioning specialist, former rocket scientist, and Traeger daddy.
This is Isis Hargrave, certified OPEX coach, nutrition guru, and meat eater. Hashtag sorry, Whitney.
This is Jared Hunsaker, certified CrossFit coach, facilities manager, and beef master.
You found the enduraLAB podcast, where we dive into the science behind fitness.
The ins and outs of better health.
And lifestyle strategies to help you live your best life.
You guys ready?
Let's
Go.
So today we're talking about one of the most fundamental aspects of nutrition, and that is protein. We're going to dive into why protein matters, debunking common myths, how much and how that changes as we age or our sport, the different sources that we're going to go for, including supplements, and consuming protein around workouts. It is chocked full.
This is a big one.
I'm excited.
All
right. So let's start with the basics around protein, right? Isis, why is protein so important to our overall health?
Yep. Protein serves as the building blocks to a lot of things that happen inside of our bodies. It helps us build muscles, build bones, enzymes, and hormones. It's crucial for recovery, immune function, and even weight management. A lot of people think when we talk about protein, we're just like hammering it because of muscles, but honestly, like even enzyme production, what is that, right? But it's important because that helps with chemical reactions inside of our bodies and things that happen. And if you don't fuel yourself properly, your body cannot function. So it drives me crazy, and we'll get into it, but give me a juice cleanse. Like, are you kidding me? No. We need protein. We'll get more into it later. This is such a hot topic for me.
If we want a better immunity system, why are we not consuming more protein?
Right.
I had no clue protein had all those effects. I just thought if I don't get my protein, I'm not going to get the gains that I want. But if I'm having an off day, now I'm like, oh, what's my protein look like today? And Andrew Huberman also talks about how amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, impact our neurotransmitters and their functions, and that can influence our mood and cognitive performance. So protein is really not just about our muscles. It's also about the performance of our brain and our body.
Man.
And Dr. Mary Claire Haver, who's really popular right now with the new menopause, she highlights how an adequate protein intake is essential for women, especially during menopause, to combat muscle loss and support metabolic rate as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about aging and aging well, protein is so important on maintaining muscle mass that we currently have. And so that's going to help with our longevity and then metabolic health as well. Before we dive into specific protein sources, let's clear up some misconceptions about protein. Isis, what's one myth that you often hear?
Yeah, that if you consume too much protein, that's going to be hard on your kidneys. That's a big myth. Honestly, unless you are already experiencing like kidney issues, you are more than likely okay. But if you do have pre-existing kidney issues, it is important to be mindful of your protein.
Yeah, it's more about timing. We actually have someone who's a kidney donor right in our gym, and we've talked to him several times about, okay, how much protein can we have at a meal, right? And then the timing around that, so we make sure that he's digesting in between.
Right. And if you are, I just want to say, if you are experiencing some kidney symptoms, like you are overworked, you should talk to your doctor. But usually it's severe swelling, particularly around your eyes or your ankles, foamy urine, weight gain due to fluid retention, fatigue, loss of appetite. So those are things that if you're experiencing those, please see a doctor. Yeah.
I have a kind of a spin-off myth that I kind of think about for myself. If you eat too much protein in like one sitting, can it mess up your, in lack of better words, your bowel movement?
Fiber is important. for that, right? So if you're just sitting there hammering away, like maybe on a carnivore diet, and you are heavy meat and not enough fat or fiber, yeah, that can definitely hurt your digestive system.
Yeah,
and
you
back
want to
you
have
up.
a complete diet. And
Yeah.
I think we get into that, but a balanced diet and not just high protein. I mean, there are times in which you're going to cut, that's a form of calorie deficit, and you might just stick to like a high protein, low carb, low fat. But there are symptoms that come with that, like eat too much protein, your breath is probably going to stink. You'll probably be having problems going to the bathroom. I mean, so yes, there is such a thing as if you only consume protein, that's going to be an issue with your body, because again, your body needs lots of things to function. Fat is one of them, carbs are one of them. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so when we talk today about protein, just note that we're not
Talking about
negating
just
anything.
eating
Yes,
protein.
yes.
Saying
This is part of a balanced,
protein.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think another one that we talk a lot about is you can only retain or consume so much protein per meal. And the old saying was 20 to 30 grams, and that's been debunked. The recent research suggests the body's more flexible. I mean, we're talking now 50 to 60 grams per meal, depending on the size of the person. And I think, even Stacy Sims points out that while you might just start taking in, the first 30 to 40 grams for muscle protein synthesis, any excess protein can still be used for other bodily processes. So it's not this, I need to just do these small little meals. At one point in time, that was really popular, right? 20 to 30 grams. You can consume, depending on size, up to 50 to 60 grams per meal.
But it also depends on if you're a male or a female, how old you are, what are you eating it with, what is your protein source. Like, those are all things that are to be considered when you're like, okay, how much am I actually absorbing? As you get older, you have less efficiency with protein, and I know we're getting into that. So you actually want to try to eat as much as you can, because your body needs it, and you may not be getting everything that you need, depending.
Another myth is that high protein diets make you bulky or overly muscular. I can attest this is not true. It's not it's not that quick of a process. It's very slow. So trust me, building substantial muscle mass requires consistent strength training and a caloric surplus, not just a protein surplus. You got to get calories as well. Women especially can benefit from the higher protein without worrying about looking too big. So ladies, get your protein.
That's right, ladies. Do not miss out. We're going to talk about that even later. So let's move on to how much protein we want you to eat. So we're going to get into the numbers. The general guideline that you often see is 1.2 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For all of us who like imperial, that is a half to a gram of protein per pound.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
I don't like kilograms.
So, and there's, people that even suggest less, but I think that the more and more research that is coming out, it is showing that we need to really aim for that 1 gram of protein per pound. And it can vary depending on your goals, right? Fat loss, muscle gain, maintenance, factors like age or hormonal considerations. And most of the people that you will see out there now are suggesting aiming at the higher end, especially women and people as they age.
Exactly. If someone is very active, they might need 1 to 1.25 of times their body weight in protein and grams. The key is consistency. Hitting your protein targets every day is crucial. So if you're really good one day and you slack the next, and maybe really good again, slack, they won't add up. Your body needs it every day.
Absolutely. And it's, when you're training and you have an off day, that doesn't mean that you eat less protein, right? And we talk about that with creatine too. It's a consistent number that we want people to hit every day, or try to hit every day.
And it's important to remember everything we just went over, the numbers. Those are guidelines, not super strict rules. So just experiment with the protein you consume every day, see how your body feels, and just play with those numbers.
Right. And we ask our athletes at enduraLAB to shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But some of our athletes, like Jared here, as you're trying to get functional mass gain, we are upping that level of 1.25. People can even probably go up to 1.5 grams per pound body weight.
Oh,
Let's
before
move.
we move on, sorry. One thing to consider too is that if you're looking for weight loss, that you want to go towards like goal weight. So you don't necessarily have to go towards your current body weight.
Exactly. So let's talk about the sources of protein and their caloric values. This is one that's, I think, that a lot of athletes kind of need to understand is the caloric impact of their protein choice. So Isis, can you give us kind of a quick rundown on that?
Absolutely, because there's a lot of misconception around this as well. So animal sources like chicken, turkey, fish, lean beef typically have around 20 to 30 grams of protein per 100 grams, like 3.5 ounces, and range between 120 and 200 calories, depending on the fat content. Plant-based options like beans, lentils, and tofu also provide protein, but often come with more carbs associated with it. For instance, 100 grams of cooked lentils, while some may think that's a great protein source, has about 9 grams of protein and about 116 calories. So you're going to need more of those lentils to basically up your protein levels, which is great. However, we just need to be educated on how much of that protein content is in each food.
Right, because calories at the end of the day matter. Whether
Correct.
you're trying to maintain, lose weight, gain lean mass, we need to know the calories. So we know from coaching athletes on all kinds of diets that our plant-based athletes have the most difficulty in hitting their protein targets. Plus, it usually takes them more calories to get to the same protein numbers. And then we also have to be careful that we're getting those athletes a full amino acid profile.
And
right.
talking about like absorption and ready available, we'll talk about that later.
But yeah, and I think for those people who are more plant-based, like a complete protein are all 9 essential amino acids, right? We get that with animal-based protein, but not all plant protein does that, except for like quinoa. And there's a few others, or you can mix and match. But it is essential that you're getting those or you're supplementing.
I think I have a newfound respect for vegan athletes because protein for me, when I can kind of eat anything and my diet's not restricted, I feel like it's much easier. An example for that could be eggs. Eggs are, for me, easy to get down. In an egg, there's about 6 grams of protein and 70 calories. So numbers are pretty good. Calories aren't too high. Good protein. And then another dairy product that I like is Greek yogurt. It does not taste the best, but you can throw a couple spoonfuls in a blender and make a shake out of it and still get all the benefits of the Greek yogurt. And yeah, there's
about
using
15
those
to
cheat
20
codes.
grams of protein per serving on that Greek yogurt, which is really good.
That's awesome.
And depending on which ones you go for, because you got to watch,
Yeah.
right?
There's
Because they
added
sneak in
ingredients.
some added sugar,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the type of yogurt. We use a lot of plain.
And I think
Yeah.
for Jared, it's hard because he doesn't like to consume food in large amounts. So for you want your biggest bang for your buck. And so eating a big salad and quinoa and, the amount that you would need for even just 15 to 20 grams of protein would take you longer to eat.
I'd rather just blend it up and drink it.
It is easier that way. But I think what we want everyone to understand is different protein sources have different calorie and macronutrient profiles. So we want to choose ones that best fit our overall diet plan. And we want to make sure that we're getting everything we need to maximize our performance and health.
So with that, we can kind of get into bioavailability.
Yeah, that's a big word, Jared.
I know, I had to study, make sure I pronounced it right. So Isis, can you explain bioavailability and how it impacts our protein absorption?
Yeah, so I was kind of touching on it earlier. Bioavailability, look at me tripping over the words, refers to how well our body can digest the protein that we consume. So animal proteins like whey, eggs, lean meats generally rank high in bioavailability, meaning your body can utilize most of what you eat. Plant protein can be slightly lower in bioavailability, but combining sources like rice and beans can improve the amino acid profile.
And I think something to note is that as we age, our ability to digest and absorb protein can decline. Okay, so we often get kind of our older athletes saying, oh, well, I don't need as much protein now. And I always respond to, actually, man, you need more, right? And I know Peter Attia, he points out that older adults may need more protein per meal to trigger muscle protein synthesis. And then Stacy Sims even mentions that hormonal changes in women as they age, especially like around menopause, can further reduce protein absorption, which is super critical during that stage.
That's why spacing out protein intake throughout the day becomes crucial. Instead of one massive protein meal, maybe aim to 3 to 4 protein-rich meals or snacks.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes to fasting and why we went away from it. Is I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting, but it's really hard to get to your protein goal when you're missing meals. Correct. Because you have to eat so much at each meal. So I think that, when you're looking, especially if you're listening out there and you are fasting, are you hitting your protein goals? Because that's super important with body composition, because I'm guessing that's what you're going for, right? And if you're not, maybe fasting isn't the best way to get to your goals.
Well, I think of it like water consumption. If you need a certain amount of water throughout the day, you're going to start early. And you're going to try to
some of our athletes start early.
Right. But I'm like, you got to fill your bucket essentially of your nutrients just like you do with your water. So if I know I need 150 grams of protein today, I'm starting and I'm going throughout the day consuming that protein, because the last thing I want to do is try to consume 100 in the last 4 hours of the day.
Right, because I'm going to be up all night.
Which is easy. So like to Jared's point earlier, an egg, people are like, oh, I had an egg for breakfast. Okay, great. That's 6 grams of protein. What else did you eat? A piece of toast.
And then, on that point though, too, like even if I'm consuming protein, and when we talk about bioavailability, that's how much the body absorbs of it. If I'm eating, on a plant-based diet, I've got to make sure that I probably go a little bit over my goal each day, just so my body can actually utilize the protein that I've consumed.
Yep.
So just saying, make sure that you guys, depending on what protein source you're choosing from, make sure it does have high bioavailability. If it doesn't, right, you're going to have to consume a little bit more, and make sure as we age, we're not decreasing our numbers. We're actually probably increasing a little bit.
If you want to get your protein throughout the day, you need to be consuming about minimum 20 to 25 grams of protein per meal.
That's all.
Snack, per anything. Anytime you put food in your mouth, it should be 20 to 25 grams of protein at the minimum.
Yeah. And that, if you just had 4 snacks or 4 meal snacks at that, you're only got 100 grams.
Yes. Which is not enough for a typical active person.
Correct. So we're going to have to talk about supplements, right?
That's right.
Which brings us to our favorite protein supplements. So protein supplements can be a lifesaver when you're on the go, you're busy, you don't have the time to cook a meal, or especially like when we're traveling.
Yeah, you might not be whipping out your salmon.
Right. Yeah, especially if you're on a crowded plane. Beef jerky and packaged fish are not a good play there. Okay, be nice to your neighbors. Aim for something that's not so pungent of an odor. But Jared, you're the guy who's tracking the protein probably the most at this table. What are some of your favorite supplements?
Well, it's a close call between beef jerky on the plane and the high quality whey isolate. We use Ascent at the gym, and I love it. It's very smooth, easily digestible, and 25 grams of protein, 120 calories. So that's a pretty good ratio to me. And then even if I double scoop, that's 50 grams of protein. Still tastes great. It's smooth. And it also has the complete amino acid profile, which we were talking about earlier. So that just adds on to the benefits. They keep stacking up.
Yeah, I have tried so many different whey proteins out there. We used to carry Stronger, Faster, Healthier, and I just keep going back to Ascent because of how easy it is to mix, and it tastes great. You know?
It does taste good. Right now, my favorite is the mint chocolate chip, which is weird because I don't really like chocolate, but like that's the treat. Oh, and they just came out with strawberry again. Love strawberry.
Yeah. I like the unflavored because I do a lot of smoothies in the morning, and I also like to hide it from my kids. And when you put the unflavored in, they have no idea. I can't taste it, and they can't taste it.
Yeah. And I also become pretty obsessed with the new David bars that we're carrying that are 28 grams of protein and only 150 calories, I believe.
Which is crazy.
Pretty insane. I kind of like that about 30 minutes before I work out or a little bit sooner. It's a great pre or post workout snack.
Yeah, and it's on the go. You can throw it in a bag. I would definitely prefer if the person I'm sitting by on the airplane grabbed a David bar
versus
instead of
packaged
jerky.
fish.
Yeah, packaged fish. You like how I said that, didn't you?
Yes. And those of you that prefer plant-based, there's Ascent makes a plant-based protein too that I really enjoy. And it's also something that if you don't normally get your veggies or your plants in, it's good to supplement as well. You don't have to be a meat-free athlete just to consume a plant-based protein.
Yeah, and they do a really nice job of using a blend. So you do have a complete amino
pea
acid
and
profile.
rice protein.
Yep. Not all plant-based proteins will do that. So when you choose it, and speaking of labels, that's another reason why we like Ascent. They actually have a nutrition label. It's not a supplement label. So they've gone that extra step with, getting that level of label, which is actually pretty cool. I mean, go check all of your whey protein canisters, plant protein bags in your pantry and see if it actually says supplement label or nutrition label, because I think Ascent's the only one out there, and that's why we love it. That's why I give it to my kids. So make sure when you guys are supplementing, you guys are choosing really well tested brands that go out and do third-party testing. Super, super important. Another bar that we got in just because of the ingredient list was Jacob bars, right? There's no BS, kind of how RX used to say, right? There's no BS ingredients. So we love things like that. And I think we should probably throw in like collagen and amino acids into the mix here as well, especially for those athletes who may be a little bit more lactose intolerant. Although most whey now, like when you get into the whey protein isolate, it's processed enough where a lot of the lactose is out, but a safe bet is always collagen. And then if you're a vegan athlete or plant-based athlete, I would really encourage you to look into amino acids as well, just because you may not be getting a complete amino acid profile in your daily diet.
Yeah, so speaking of quality of protein sources, we should definitely care about grass-fed, free range, and organic labels as well. Those are going to indicate better nutrient profiles and fewer chemicals. For example, grass-fed beef can have a healthier balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Free-range poultry often has lower stress hormones. Organic usually means no synthetic pesticides, which may benefit long-term health.
It also ties into the ethical and environmental considerations. If you can afford choosing high-quality sources, that can be a win-win for both your health and the environment.
That's right. And like anything, balance is key. So if you can't always get grass-fed or organic, don't stress about it. Just focus on hitting your protein goals first and foremost.
Check the sales at the grocery store and buy frozen organic. Sometimes that's cheaper. Just do some research in your grocery store because, yes, it can get really expensive, but there's definitely ways you can get around it.
Absolutely. We're always checking, and even if we don't think we're going to consume it that week, we might throw it in the freezer, right? So let's talk about timing, okay? Especially protein in and around workouts. Jared, how do you consume protein around your workouts?
I try to start it immediately after my workout, just so I can get it out the way, knock it out. Don't have to
In that
procrastinate it.
anabolic window?
Yes, exactly. Protein synthesis. But normally that's around 20 to 30 grams of protein. And if I can't get it in immediately after my workout, I'm trying to get it in within the hour or an hour from my workout. This helps kickstart your muscle repair and growth. Some experts like Dr. Stacy Sims also suggest having a small amount of protein before your workouts for added benefits. And this goes especially for women.
Yeah, and when you're doing that, don't consume so much that it makes your stomach unsettled during a workout.
Yeah, you're aiming for like 15 grams and some
10
carbs.
to 15 grams, like half a protein bar,
Yeah, you
half
could
a
take
shake.
half a scoop of protein powder and throw it in some almond milk, mix it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's going to help with your performance. And if you're training fasted, which not recommended for women, be sure to get protein in as soon as you're done. And also that's more for an early bird workout person, I would say. I wouldn't fast until a 4:30 p.m. workout.
Right.
But it's all about giving your muscles the building blocks they need. And of course, all the rest of your functions as well.
Yeah, if you're working out at 4:30 and you've been eating protein throughout the day, or you've eaten within like 2 hours of the workout, not as critical to get it in beforehand. You want to try to get it in afterwards. So just know a post-workout shake or protein-rich meal can go a long way in maximizing your gains in the gym. And that's not, we're talking physical gains, whether that's improved body composition, bigger numbers on the barbell, or just moving better. All right. And we'll emphasize, we are not big on women fasting. I just said it. I just want to second that. It just messes so much with hormones that we always recommend that our female athletes have at least some fuel before their workout.
And that's because fasting is typically seen as done in the morning. You know, if you're going to fast, I would say stop eating earlier. And you're fasting between dinner and the time you wake up and have your first meal. The misconception is like you have to fast until 11 a.m. or noon. And that fasting is just a window of time. It's not necessarily any other magic.
No, it's just tricking you to restrict your calories, although some people can eat more inside of an eating window than they do.
Well, I'm like, great, you didn't eat till noon and you ate until 9. And between 7 and 9, you ate 4,000 calories. Like that can happen so easily. I would say with the timing of protein and everything, you should log how much protein you're consuming, because that's important. You won't know any other way. Like if you're just like, oh, I had this protein shake. Okay, you know that's 25 grams of protein, but it's a little harder when you eat whole foods like chicken and
you got to weigh.
You do. You have to weigh it. You have to weigh your way.
Yes.
But if you're going throughout the day and you realize, okay, I'm only at 60 grams of protein, why would you not consume protein? Like you need to eat. So as far as timing, start journaling, seeing how much you're eating and when, and you space it out as you can, because we're all busy too. If you go to work, you can't necessarily whip out your packaged fish in the middle of a meeting. You need to make sure that your lunch has a good amount of protein, that you have a David bar in your desk or something. You have to get it in when you can.
Absolutely. So let's kind of wrap it up. We've covered why protein is crucial, how much you should aim for, the different sources, supplement recommendations, and why quality matters. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Don't overcomplicate it. Finding protein sources that you enjoy can be a little bit challenging in the beginning, but like I said, just track your intake for a little bit and adjust as you need, and know that consistency is everything. So just stay true to that goal and you'll be great.
I like what I said. Don't overcomplicate it. For me, I used to try to eat a big breakfast before work, get my protein in. Now I'm just like, okay, I'll just make a protein shake. Really quick, effective. I can drink it on my way to work, and then boom, 25, 50 grams of protein first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo too on the tracking. Like there's only 2 numbers that we ask a lot of our athletes as they come into the gym to track. And there's only really 2 numbers that I continuously track, and that is protein in grams and water in ounces. I'm trying to hit body weight numbers on both of those. Thanks everybody for tuning in again today. If you found this helpful, we'd love to share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast and let us know your thoughts.
And if you want nutrition coaching, reach out to us because I would love to help.
Absolutely. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at enduraLAB, and check out our website at enduraLAB.com for more information on our nutrition coaching programs with ISIS. Until next time,
Keep moving.
Eat well.
and stay strong.
Peace.